So, for a quick summary of the article we chose, it talks about the debate on gender sensitive language in Serbia. Some people support using both masculine and feminine forms for job titles such as doctor or doctorica for doctor, and this is used to usually promote gender equality. Although others think that these changes are unnecessary or influenced by Western ideas or Western culture. This debate is influenced by Serbia's history as a post-socialist country with rising nationalism and a general distrust of authority. Many people see language reforms as being forced by elites rather than something natural. Although in the end, this isn't just about words, it's about deeper issues like gender, tradition, and identity in Serbia today. So for our first question is, how is language connected to gender? So for us, language and gender are closely connected because the way we speak reflects on how society shapes or views different gender roles and identities. Language can either reinforce traditional gender norms or challenge them, and these affect how different people see gender in everyday life. For example, using gendered pronouns like he for leaders or she for caregivers can reinforce or start up stereotypes. Similarly, job titles such as fireman or firefighter can suggest that certain roles belong to a specific gender, like firemen, it usually belongs to men. Some would think that, but these small language choices influence how gender is understood in society and can either maintain or break down these stereotypes over time. So, for our key findings, we found three in particular: language and power, how gender is connected to many more issues, and three, how is the language in Serbia? So, first, let's start off with the connection of language to power. So, the article shows how language is connected to power in Serbia with both official rules and grassroots movements trying to influence how gender is expressed. The debate over gender sensitive language reveals how those in power shape the way we talk about different gender roles in society. Another is how gender is connected to many more issues. So, gender and language changes are connected to much more than just gender. The way we talk about gender also ties into the many politics, economics, and wider societal changes. In Serbia, the debate over gender sensitive language reflects deeper issues like nationalism, distrust of authority, and shifting social values. Last is how is the language in Serbia. So Serbian has a grammatical gender system like Russia, meaning that gender is shown not just in nouns but also in pronouns, adjectives, and verbs. This makes the language more complex as everything from like job titles uh, to descriptions must reflect the correct gender or else it will be wrong.
Let's discuss the key concepts highlighted in this study. First is language as a cultural construct. The study highlights how gendered language reflects societal values, norms, and ideologies in Serbia, particularly in a post socialist context. It shows that language is not just a means of communication, but a reflection of cultural beliefs. Next, the symbolic power of language. The article emphasizes language ideologies, showing how debates on gendered language are shaped by power structures, national identity, and resistance to perceived Western influences, which are core themes in social linguistics and anthropology. So, these debates are not just linguistic issues, but also deeply political and cultural, aligning with social linguistics and anthropology. Finally, we have social change and language. The study looks at how European Union gender mainstreaming policies interact with Serbian values. It highlights how language can either drive or resist societal transformation, connecting to theories of cultural globalization in international language and society studies. Now let's move on to the theories that support this article. First is the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, also known as linguistic relativity. This theory suggests that language shapes how people perceive and think about the world. In Serbia, the debate on gendered language reflects how linguistic structures influence societal attitudes, towards gender roles and identity. Next, we have indexicality theory. Now, this theory states that language choices convey social meaning. In Serbia, the use of masculine generics reinforces traditional gender norms, while the advocacy for inclusive language reflects modern gender identities. These linguistic choices signal larger societal shifts and ideological divides.
Now moving on to our methodology. So this study uses a qualitative design to explore debates over gendered language in Serbia, focusing more on social and ideological tensions related to linguistic reforms. So this article aims to understand how Serbian speakers perceive these gender-sensitive language policies. Participants included Serbian speakers from different backgrounds, which were selected through purposive sampling to represent various viewpoints so that everyone can have a say in uh, the results. So the data was collected through semi-structured interviews, and they also analyzed media content to capture public discourse. Some limitations include a small sample size and possible biases when it comes to these participants. Now moving on to our data analysis. So three key points emerge from the data analysis. First is the resistance to Western policies, and many of these participants see that um, this is more of a foreign influence rather than something that Serbians really truly believe in when it comes to gendered language. Next is the political distrust, and this means that most of these participants or interviewees have distrust when it comes to authority enforcing these rules when it comes to the language in Serbia. And last is the cultural identity. So this means that some participants disagree because it is hurting Serbians' tradition and culture, and it instead of preserving it, it puts it in danger. So these findings show that debates over gendered language are not only about linguistics but also about power, politics, and national identity.
First, ambiguity in public discourse. The article effectively captures the mixed reactions to gender neutral language reforms. Public opinion is shaped by distrust in top down policies and conflicting views on authority and rights, making the discussion complex and dynamic. Next is conservative mobilization. The article highlights how anti gender movements have successfully framed equality discourse as something foreign or irrelevant to Serbian culture by linking language reforms to identity in national and autonomy. These movements challenge gender inclusive policy. Lastly, the symbolic role of language. The study shows that debates over language reforms go beyond grammar and vocabulary. They reflect deeper societal struggles between modernity and tradition, making language a powerful symbol of social change. Now, here are the strengths of the article. First is social linguistic depth. The study effectively connects language use to larger ideological conflicts, but it could delve deeper into how different social groups use and perceive gender language in everyday communication. Second is timely and relevant discussion. While the article addresses gender sensitive language in the context of rising neo nationalist and right wing movements, it could benefit from a broader comparison with similar linguistic debates in other countries. Finally, empirical insights. The study does well in incorporating real world citizen perspectives, but expanding its dataset or including more diverse voices could make its conclusions even more concrete and applicable. Now, while the article makes strong contributions, there are areas where it could still improve. First, broader data scope, including perspectives from various social classes, regions, and political factions in Serbia, would provide a more comprehensive picture of public attitudes toward gendered language. A wider range of voices would strengthen The study's conclusions. Next is comparative analysis. A comparison with other post socialist or non Western societies facing similar debates would make the argument more compelling. By identifying global patterns, the study could highlight whether Serbia's experience is unique or part of a broader trend. Finally, the policy implications. While the article discusses resistance to gendered language reforms, it could offer more concrete recommendations for policymakers and linguists. Suggestions on how to navigate these tensions and implement language reforms more effectively would enhance the study's real world applicability.